Hey, and welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really powerful tool in English grammar. It's something that can make your statements sound stronger, more formal, and honestly, a lot more persuasive. It's called inversion, and trust me, learning how to use this can totally level up your speaking and writing.
So let me just ask you this. Do you ever want your English to sound just a little more dramatic, maybe a bit more formal? Especially when you're trying to make a really important point. Well, if the answer is yes, then you are in exactly the right place. All right, let's get right into it. In this first part, I'm going to show you, not just tell you, how this technique actually works to make what you say so much more powerful. Okay, take a look at these two sentences. The first one, emissions have never increased so quickly. It's totally fine. It's a perfectly normal, correct sentence. But now listen to the second one. Never have emissions increased so quickly. You can just feel the difference, can't you? It has more weight. It sounds more serious, more formal, and way more emphatic. And that is the power of inversion we're going to unpack.
Okay, so now it's time for a little listening exercise. I'm going to read out a short conversation between two people who are talking about a pretty serious topic. All you have to do is listen carefully and see if you can spot the sentences that sound extra strong or dramatic. Ready?
Let's listen. The first person kicks it off with, "Never have I seen so many people worried about climate change as this year."
And the second person responds, "I agree. Rarely do politicians act so quickly on environmental issues, but this time feels different."
Exactly, but notice that only after the floods did the government introduce new safety measures.
And the second person finishes up with, "Yes, and not until last month did the public realize how serious the problem really was."
So, did you hear them? Those really powerful sentences. Never have I seen, or rarely do politicians act. That special structure they used? Well, that's the secret we're about to unpack. So let's break down exactly what's going on here.
So what is the grammatical rule that makes these sentences pop? I promise you, it's not nearly as complicated as it might sound.
This whole technique is called inversion, and here's the main idea. Whenever you kick off a sentence with a negative or restrictive word, think never or rarely, you flip the subject and the auxiliary verb, helping verbs like have, do, or is. The word order ends up looking a bit like a question, but you're not asking anything. You're making a very, very strong statement. If you like formulas, here's a simple one to lock it in your memory. You start with that negative adverb, then you add the auxiliary verb, then the subject, and finally the main verb. Think of it as your secret recipe for crafting more persuasive sentences.
Okay, so you've got the recipe. Now let's build your toolkit. We're going to look at the common words and phrases that actually trigger this special kind of grammar. First up, we have words that talk about frequency. You want to use these when you really want to emphasize how unusual or, how extreme something is. Words like never, rarely, and seldom are just perfect for this. So, for instance, instead of saying something standard like, "The world has seldom faced," you can really elevate it and say, "Seldom has the world faced such complex challenges." See? It just immediately sounds more profound, more significant. Next in our toolkit, we've got phrases for time and sequence. Now, these are fantastic when you're describing two things that happen really fast, like one right after the other. We're talking about phrases like hardly when or no sooner than. Check out this example. Hardly had the storm ended when another one began. This structure really gives you a sense of drama and immediacy. It emphasizes just how quickly those two things happened, back to back. And our final category is all about conditions. These are super useful, especially in formal arguments or academic writing. They show that a result can only happen if a certain condition is met first. So think of words like only after, only by, and not until. Now, there is one very important little detail you've got to remember when you're using phrases that start with only or not until. Okay, pay really close attention here because this is a common trip-up. On the left, you see the right way to do it. The inversion, that little switch between did and people, it happens in the main part of the sentence, not in the first bit with only after. So it's only after the drought did people start saving water. The incorrect example on the right shows that classic mistake of inverting way too early. Just remember this, the switch always happens in the main clause.
Okay, we have covered a lot, so let's do a super quick recap of the most important points, and then I'm going to leave you with a little challenge.
So here are the big takeaways. First, what is it?
Well, inversion is that subject-verb flip you do after a negative word. Why do we do it? To add emphasis and persuasive punch, especially in more formal situations. And how do we do it? Easy. Just follow that formula. Negative word, auxiliary, subject, and then the main verb. Simple as that.
And you really do. This isn't just some dusty old grammar rule. It's a genuine tool that you can use in presentations, in essays, in important debates, anytime you want to make your arguments more compelling and just stick in people's minds.
So I will leave you with this question to think about. Now that you've got this new skill in your back pocket, where are you going to use this powerful tool first?